Good morning, my name is Allan and I'm the Senior Pastor at Embrace Church in Darlington, and today I'm going to answer the question, if there is a God, where is He? Now I want to say right from the start, I have found God to be true, real and perfectly good. So with all that is going on in the world, where is He? Now before I begin to answer this question, I want to answer another question. What allows me to even begin to answer the question? It's not that I alone have a hotline to God that no one else have access to, but what I do have is recorded history here in the Bible. I look to the Bible for truths and principles that apply to today. Obviously the Bible was written a couple of thousand years ago or so. I also know that God, though, does speak to us through His Holy Spirit. He does speak today in a variety of ways, but never in a way which will contradict His book. The Bible was written by human authors, sure, but it's God's truth, inspired by Him, which He has chosen to reveal to us for our good. If you see me looking down, I'm just looking at some notes I've got here in preparation for this. So back to the big question, if there is a God, where is He? Well, let me say this right from the start, emphatically and unequivocally, God is on His throne in heaven in complete and perfect rule over the entire universe. The Bible tells us that God also cares personally for me and you. And yet we are having our lives massively impacted by this coronavirus. So, if He loves us so much and He's in control, where is He? What's He doing right now? We live in what seems like unprecedented times, certainly for us in our lifetime in this Western world where normal has changed. The global rate of COVID-19 infection passed over 1 million people just earlier this week, and over 50,000 people worldwide have now died from this virus. We hear of increasing numbers of young, seemingly fit people now dying from the virus. We're hearing that things may yet get worse before they get better. Businesses are struggling, jobs are at risk, the economy is struggling. And most damagingly, there is the human cost. Concern over the likely increase in mental health difficulties, the potential for increase in domestic abuse, and of course, people are dying and more will yet. However, and I absolutely don't want to minimise what is happening in the world, but if you're only just beginning to wonder where is God right now, we're actually forgetting much of what's happened in human history and much of what else is happening in the world right now. For example, 9 million people die every year from hunger and hunger-related illnesses. 9 million people every year. Where is God? People asked where God was in 9/11, in the killing fields of Cambodia, in the horrors of the Holocaust in Nazi Germany. Probably the disciples asked the same question as Jesus was crucified on a cross. We can go back through human history and ask, where was God? And even if you put aside major world events, just think about personal tragedies, things that probably don't make the news, and even if they do, are soon forgotten by the general population. Things such as the death of a child, a debilitating illness, suicide of a loved one, all of those things that affect people every day all over the world. Where's God? Well, part of the answer is that God never meant it to be like this. He created this world for us, and it was perfect in every way. We were designed by God to live in His world in relationship with Him, the creator of this world. However, and we see this every day, right through history, right up to the day, and going on to the future, no doubt, we mess the world up. We mess it up. Humanity makes choices that harm the earth and harm each other. Just think about the 9 million people that die every year through lack of food. 9 million through lack of food. Scientists are rightly looking for a virus antidote. Well, we have the antidote to starvation in the world. It's called food. There's plenty of it to go around, but what are we doing about this? Many human tragedies, whether global, national or personal, can be directly attributed to our bad choices and bad actions, whether deliberate or not, and this can cause other people to suffer from the consequences of our bad actions and bad choices. Sometimes even thousands or millions of people can suffer as a result. You see, God is all-powerful and yet allows us free will to choose good and bad decisions, to choose His ways or to reject them. A major problem of this is that we suffer the consequences of those bad choices. Throughout history, God has allowed difficult things and difficult times to take place. Allowed. He could stop and prevent everything, and one day He will, and I'm coming to that later. But until that point, free will continues. And yet often, much good comes from these bad things. Lives are changed, circumstances are changed, whole nations are changed. World War II was obviously horrific, but thank God that the Nazis were defeated. There is another side to this virus though too. As I walk to the shop or take my daily exercise, I'm noticing that people are just that little bit more friendly. As a nation, we are standing and applauding the NHS and carers and other key workers. When did we last do that? We are keeping in touch with friends and family more than ever before. We see families learning together, playing together, cooking together, eating together, singing together, enjoying each other's company more than ever before. Just this week I've been having Zoom parties really with some of the far-flung members of my family, people who live in Aldershot and Adelaide and Canberra and all over. Why has it taken the virus for me to do this? But that's what's happened. This is something new that's come out of the virus, something good. There is a sense that as a nation, maybe even as a world, we really are all in this together. There are other positives too. For example, air pollution is drastically reduced as we cut down on our travel, air travel especially, because of the virus. Those of you who know me will know that I have a little guilty pleasure, and it's called Watching Coronation Street with my wife. And there's a character on there called Sally. Many of you will probably know her. You probably have a guilty pleasure like I do. And she's played by an actress called Sally Dunaway. I'm not sure if I've got her surname right. I hope I have. Well, I happened to catch her on morning TV this week, and she said something about, yes, we're all looking forward to life returning to normal. But actually, maybe after this virus, we won't just return to normal, but we'll do normal a little bit better. I think that speaks for many of us, really. Let's get back to normal, but do it better than we were before. It almost feels as if this virus has allowed certainly the nation, probably the world, to just press a reset button, to ask again, what is really important? I saw on Facebook just this week recently, maybe that's another guilty pleasure of mine, that these strange times that we are all living under has allowed us to appreciate just how little we need and just how much we have. And let's be thankful for what we have got. Let's be honest. Though our lives are being disrupted right now, there are many millions around the globe who I'm sure will be happy to have the lives we do, to have all we have, a roof over our heads, running water, food in the cupboards, etc. Things might just be better after the virus than before it. The choice, actually, is ours. It's back to that free will thing. Another aspect of the effects of the virus is just where do we put our trust? We have seen how easily the world can be shaken, how quickly that which we take for granted can actually be taken from us. Nothing in the world will last forever, and nothing can be fully relied upon. Whatever happens in the world and in our lives, whatever the circumstances, actually, we can be at peace, be free from fear and anxiety. We can have joy, a new purpose, and have a certain hope. We can know real love and forgiveness, not through the systems and the political systems and things we rely on in this world, but only through God, only through Jesus. So this is all well and good, but it raises another question. What about those that died as a result of the coronavirus? Obviously, firstly, all my sympathies go out to everyone affected by this virus. The truth is, all human death is a tragedy in its own right, whatever the cause. And death does come to us all. And after death, we face God. And then we will either spend an eternity with Him, this is what the Bible tells us, in heaven, or we will spend it apart from Him. So all those benefits I've just spoken about, that we can know in this life, peace, freedom from fear and anxiety, joy, purpose, hope, knowing His love and forgiveness, and then when it is all over, to know we have a place in heaven. Only that comes through that relationship with God. Many people seem to think that this relationship with God, now and in heaven, is dependent on us somehow being good enough to earn it. The Bible makes it clear, though, that we can never earn it. All of these benefits from God that are available to us now and forever in heaven is actually a free gift from God. Let me just point something out, probably something quite obvious. We don't have to look far in the world to see there is horrible things, evil perpetrated by human beings, sadly. Now, if we're honest and look inside ourselves, we can see that actually we are not all good. We ourselves, we don't often like to admit that, but it is true that we are living proof of that old saying that nobody is perfect. But whatever we have done in the past, it can be wiped clean from us, and we can be made fit for relationship simply by accepting who Jesus is and what He has done for us. Jesus is the perfect Son of God, who never did or said or thought anything wrong, who actually died an horrific death through Roman crucifixion for us, paying the price for the things that we did and said and thought wrong. We just need to receive this free gift. It's called forgiveness. We can receive it. That's how you start a relationship with Jesus, not through earning it, not through good behaviour, but through what we believe. It was very costly for Jesus. horrific pain of every kind, physical pain, mental anguish. And he went through that for us. So it was costly to Jesus. But to come into a relationship with him, with God, is actually very easy for us. In the Bible, there's a book in the New Testament called Romans, and in Romans chapter 10 it says this: if you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord, and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. We sometimes use an ABC to choose to follow Jesus, and you can do this now if you like. You can make this decision as you're watching this video. A is for accept that you have said, done and thought things wrong sometimes. B is to believe that Jesus is who he says he is, the Son of God, and that he did what the Bible tells us he did. He died on the cross as the penalty for our wrong things, that he paid the price. And C, the C part of ABC, remember A was accept that we've done things wrong, B was to believe Jesus, who he is and what he did, and C is to choose to follow him with his help through the Holy Spirit. Now if you've agreed with those things, guess what? That makes you a follower of Jesus. Contact me after this video and I will help you take the next step in this new life. So to conclude, God created this world. It was perfect then, but humanity, people like me and maybe you, has messed it up. We live here in this mess, but with Jesus in our lives, we can be content in all circumstances whilst we live here, and one day we can be with him forever in heaven. And finally, one day Jesus will return in power and make all things new. He will put the world back to how it should be. And if you're a follower of Jesus, you will live with him forever in perfection, in that perfect new world with a perfect God. Another book from the Bible, the very last book, the book of Revelation, it tells us this in Revelation chapter 5. Look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. He, that's God, who was seated on the throne, said, I am making everything new. Amen.